Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
It's wonderful to have everyone here together as we are bringing our Shabbat in. And I thought it would be important to start off tonight a little bit differently because, as many of you know, we have suffered a very great communal loss. Early this morning, Rabbi Jack Siegel passed away. And he, I don't have to tell you, was such a pillar of not just Beth Yeshurun, but the entire Houston Jewish community. Everyone has some memory of him, whether he taught you at TNT. He loved to tell me about all his acronyms. Whether he led you on a very enthusiastic trip to Israel, whether you took a class from him, whether you heard one of his many amazing sermons. He was by far, and no one would disagree with me on this, Bima, the most learned rabbi at Beth Yeshurun. He was a rabbi's rabbi, and it was a privilege to spend just a few years here with him for myself, and I can't imagine for some of you your entire lives. His loss will be very deeply felt. And I will remind us all later in the service, but just for those of you who are not aware already, his funeral will be on Monday at 11 a.m. in Barg Sanctuary, and we will have Shiva Minyanim at Beth Yeshurun on Monday through Thursday at 6 p.m., followed by a reception after. I will say right now, Zichrono Livracha, Rabbi Siegel, may your memory always be for a blessing. We will begin tonight with a nice tune to get us in the mood for a little bit of prayer, a little bit of silent reflection, and a little bit of joy too. We'll join the cantor as she leads Hinei Matov.
Hinei Matov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. 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 Hinei Matov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad.
God. We rise for the blessing of the Shabbat candles.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu l'echad likner, shel Shabbat.
You may be seated. As we welcome the Shabbat angels to our Shabbat space and our Shabbat day, page 5, Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Asharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Borachem Leshalom, Malachei Ashalom, Malachei Elyon.
Sing to Adonai a new song. Sing to Adonai all earth. Sing to Adonai, praise God's name day after day. Tell of God's deliverance. Shiru Adonai, page 13.
שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, מסרו מיום ליום ישועתו. שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, מסרו מיום ליום ישועתו. ספרו וקוראים לכבודו בכל החיים נפלאותיו, כי גדול אדוני מחולל מאוד. נערכו על כל אלוהים, שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, מסרו מיום ליום ישועתו. כי כל אלוהי חמים מלינים, ואדוני שמיים עשה, כל וחדל לפניו. עוז ותפארת במקדשו, שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, מסרו מיום ליום ישועתו. Let's hear you. Yalla lai la lai, yalla la lai, yalla lai la lai, yalla la lai, yalla lai la lai, yalla la lai, yalla lai la lai, yalla la lai. שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, מסרו מיום ליום ישועתו. שירו לאדוני, שירו לאדוני.
The earth shall be glad and the earth rejoice, the sea in its fullness roar, the meadows and all that grows them exalts. Yismechu Shamayim, page 14, with a Romemu mashup on page 20.
We can clap.
ישמחו השמיים, השמיים, ישמחו השמיים, השמיים, ישמחו השמיים, ותגל הארץ. ישמחו השמיים, ישמחו השמיים, ישמחו השמיים, ותגל הארץ. ירום הים, ירום הים, ירום הים, ומלואי. ירום הים, ירום הים, ירום הים, ומלואי. ישמחו השמיים, ישמחו השמיים, ישמחו השמיים, ותגל הארץ. Bottom of 20. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו לך קודשו. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו לך קודשו. כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו. רוממו כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו לך קודשו. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו לך קודשו.
We've already thought about the Shabbat angels, and now we think about the Shabbat bride as we sing Lecha Dodi, page 23.
השמיענו אל המיוחד אדוני אחד ושמו אחד לשם ותפארת ולתחילה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה כי היא מקור הברכה מראש מקדם נסוכה סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה בואי ושלום עטרת בלה גם בשמחה ובצלה תוך אמוני עם סגולה בואי חלה בואי חלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה.
And now we've already welcomed the Shabbat angels, but now we're going to take some time to welcome our neighbors. So take a look to your left, look to your right, welcome the person there, say howdy, introduce yourself if you've never seen him before in your life. Once you've done your greetings, you may be seated. We also use this time to welcome those in our congregational family whose hearts are heavy with mourning. And so to you, we say, may God comfort you along with all the other mourners of Zion and Jerusalem. If you are currently in mourning or if you are observing a yard site, I do invite you to turn to page 30 and to rise and join me for the Mourners Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yikadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrak yortei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael. Bagala u'izman kari v'imru, amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam almei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitale v'yitalal shmei dekudasha b'rechu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tush bechata v'nechemata, da'amiram be'alma v'imru, amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'imrumav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. I invite everyone now to rise in body or spirit. Turn to page 39 for the Baruch.
La 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 la
You may be seated. With timeless love, you have loved your people, the house of Israel. You have taught us Torah, mitzvot, statutes, and laws. Therefore, Adonai, our God, as we lie down and as we rise up, we shall speak of your laws, rejoicing in the words of your Torah and your mitzvot forever and ever. Ahavat Olam, page 40.
אהבת עולם, בית ישראל, בית ישראל, עמך אהבת, תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו לימדת, על כן אדוני אלוהינו, בשוכבנו, בשוכבנו ובקומנו, נשיח, נשיח, נשיח מחלקך, אהבת עולם, בית ישראל, בית ישראל, עמך אהבת, תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו לימדת, ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד, כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגע יומם ולילה, ואהבתך, ואהבתך, אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים, ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך.
We continue silently with the paragraphs on page 42.
Adonai Elohechem, Emet.
Who is like you, Adonai, among the mighty? Who is like you, adorned in holiness, revered in praise, working wonders? Nichemocha, page 44.
ומלכותו ברצון קיבלו עליהם, משה בני ישראל, לכנו שירה, בשמחה רבה ואמרו לכולם. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך לדור בקודש, נורא תהילות תוסף אלה, נורא תהילות תוסף אלה. מלכותך זה לי אנו ואמרו, זה לי וגלום יד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל.
Amen. Allow us, Adonai, our God, to sleep peacefully. Awaken us to life, O Sovereign. Spread over us your canopy of peace. Restore us with your good counsel and save us for the sake of your name. Shield us. Hashkivenu, page 45.
השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו אל השלום והעמידנו מלכנו אל החיים. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו אל השלום והעמידנו מלכנו אל החיים. ושמור את צאתנו ובואנו לחיים ושלום מעתה ועד עולם. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו אל השלום והעמידנו מלכנו אל החיים. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו אל השלום והעמידנו מלכנו אל החיים. ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ברוך אתה אדוני, הפורש סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל ועל ירושלים.
Amen. Vishamru, followed by the Chatzi Kaddish, page 46.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת. Good Shabbos, לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת. Good Shabbos, לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם.
Please rise.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה,
אמן.
בעלמא דברה קידותי וימליך מלכותי, וחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה בעגלה ובזמן קריב ויאמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבא מבורך לעולם עולמי עמיה. vit bar vit ramam vit nase vit adal vit ale vit halash meir kodesha rikhul leila min kol bechata v'shirata tush bechata v'nechemata damiran be'alma ve'imeru amen.
We turn now to page 47 for the Friday Night Amidah. This is your time to be with God. You can be with God anytime, of course, but now you can do it with other people. You can say the words in the book, the words in your heart. It's a great time to ask questions, yell at God. God can take it. Say what you're grateful for. This is your time. Page 47.
Please do your.
Now we sing a song for peace, Shalom Rav, with a composition by one of our very favorite guest composers.
Shalom
Now that we have prayed for peace, we also say a prayer for those in need of healing. A Mishaberach prayer found on the inside back cover of your Siddur. You may be seated. As you turn to page 54 for the Kaddish Shalom.
יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתעלה שמי לקודשה בריחו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן מעלמה ואמרו אמן תתקבץ לא תחון ובתוכו ישראל חודם אבוני ושמיה ואמרו אמן יהי שלום הרבה מן שמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן עושה שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן.
Shabbat Shalom. Now, this may come as a bit of a shock, but I was a very good kid. Right? Not like a goody-goody, kind of that, but I was well-behaved. I was never what you might call a troublemaker. So it was a real adjustment when I got to college. Not for the stuff you're thinking. It's just that I noticed, looking around the classes for my major, comparative politics, the Middle East, and North Africa, that I was very distinctly in the minority. Not for being a Jew, though that's also true, but as a woman. There were relatively few women in my classes compared to the number of guys. And it was weird for me, because all my schooling till that point, public school, Hebrew school, it was all 50-50. But now, in college, I was outnumbered. And it was a very interesting dynamic, the energy in the classroom of mostly young men. It's very competitive, a lot of jockeying for space to speak, a lot of jumping on each other's points, arguing everybody's opinion. Everything was an argument, making lots of little jokes and remarks. And sometimes I heard things being said that I really disagreed with, but I was always way too intimidated to speak up. It seemed like most of the women were worried like I was, making myself a target for these very sharp young bucks, like I'd make myself a whole mess of trouble that I didn't want. And I remember going home once and telling my dad about this ratio, male-female, of the students, about how that was very new to me. I'd never experienced that before, and maybe I picked the wrong major. I didn't want to put my head up, go toe-to-toe with these really competitive guys and stir up trouble for myself. And my dad, who has never talked about these kinds of things with me before, said, "Sarah, you have every right to be there as much as anyone else." He said, "Maybe it's time that you get in a little bit of good trouble." I think my dad might have been channeling his inner Moses. Because this week, Moses is dealing with a whole bunch of men, scads of men, in fact, the young men that comprise the families of all the clans of the tribes of Israel. He's apportioning their land, all that they're going to pass down. Every guy gets some land, and he'll pass it down to his sons, and to his sons, etc., etc., etc. But there's a problem. The daughters of Tzlofchad, of the tribe of Manasseh, came forward. And they said, "Our father died in the wilderness, and he's left no son. Let not our father's name be lost to his clan just because he has no son. Give us a portion of land among our father's kinsmen." This is a highly unusual request. In ancient times, in pretty much every culture around the world, women could not own property, like any kind of property in general, and they certainly couldn't own immovable property like land. When a man died, only his sons would inherit. But the Torah tells us this week that this band of daughters, the 5 daughters of Tzlofchad, are requesting that they inherit their father's property instead of it being passed on to some random distant male relative. Moses would be well within his right to say, "Ladies, please, you know how things are done. Women can't even own property. How can you inherit it?" But he doesn't. He doesn't say no. He doesn't say yes. He kicks it up to his boss. It's a good idea. And God immediately responds. The plea of the daughters of Tzlofchad is just. Give them a hereditary portion of land. Transfer their father's share to them. Victory for the daughters of Tzlofchad. This is unprecedented. I don't know if I can impress this upon you enough, the magnitude of what just happened. Even a queen, her father's only child, could not inherit his land upon his death. But here you have these 5 common women who had the gumption to chance stirring things up, going clear against the norm to petition Moses himself, and they have won that right. Unfathomable in ancient times. But there's more, because God continues. Ish ki yamutu v'en en lo, any householder who dies and leaves no son, you shall transfer his property to his daughter. This is a complete upset of the status quo of ancient society. Women had no property rights then, but God decides, upon hearing Moses' presentation of the petition of the daughters of Tzlofchad, to upend how things have always been done in favor of changing them for the sake of these troublemakers, what my dad would call good troublemakers. Now maybe you're thinking, okay, that's a nice little Torah story. But in real life, like the rabbis and the Talmud, real guys, they probably were not such big heroes to them. After all, our ancient rabbis had no use for troublemakers. They liked the status quo. Everything they decided was really to kind of maintain peace, and you're not wrong, except in this case. The ancient rabbis, they did like to maintain a comfortable constant. Life is easier that way. But they loved them a good troublemaker, or 5 in this case. Tana benot Tzlofchad chachmaniot. The 5 daughters of Tzlofchad are wise, say our ancient sages in the Talmud. They are interpreters of Jewish texts, they say, and they are righteous. They fall over themselves to praise these women. Because our ancient rabbis appreciated people who were daring enough to stand up, to make their voices heard, even if it went against the status quo. That's how things have always been done. If it meant saying something important and valuable, even, or maybe especially if it meant stirring up a little trouble, as long as it was the right kind, our rabbis were a fan. There was a difference for our ancient rabbis between good trouble and trouble for the sake of making trouble, or selfish trouble. And you see it clearly in how they approach the case of the daughters of Tzlofchad. They paint us a picture why we should get ourselves into good trouble. The daughters of Tzlofchad, oh, the rabbis love them. They're wise and they're learned and they're righteous, the rabbis in the Talmud say. Each and every one of them, they say, which is why they were brave enough to stand up and mix it up a little. And that's why God sided with them, say the rabbis. And they changed the rule for women everywhere. But stirring things up just because you can, to further some personal dream of glory, to come in with anything other than pure intentions, that's not good trouble. That's just trouble. And that's not admirable in the least. We read that in the rabbi's explanation of how Moses, seeing that the daughters could now inherit, sees an opportunity for himself. His successor, as leader of the Jewish people, has already been chosen by this point in the Torah. We already know it's a very fine general named Joshua. We love Joshua, you love Joshua, the rabbis love Joshua, everybody loves Joshua. But Moses, he kind of wanted his own sons to inherit his great position in the community. So he tried to stir up a little trouble of his own when he saw what happens with the daughters of Tzlofchad. When he saw the daughters of Tzlofchad inherit the property of their father, Moses said to God, "It is time for me to claim my needs. If daughters inherit, it is also right for my sons to inherit my glory." God, the rabbis explain in the Talmud, shoots this down immediately. God says, your sons are occupied only with themselves. They do not merit overturning what is being done. In Judaism, we appreciate the good troublemakers, the ones willing to stir things up for a good cause, something important, something that betters everyone, not selfish, serving only themselves. That God cannot abide. I thought of my father's words about the value of being a good troublemaker when I had the opportunity later in my life, also while furthering my education, no longer in college, but in rabbinical school. My entering class was 13 people, 12 guys, and me. It was an interesting and edifying experience. And for the record, they were very good guys. I'm friends with many of them to this day. I like them all. But that's a lot of testosterone in one classroom. Class discussions are always very lively. 12 young men, eager to prove their knowledge and their wit, arguing text, arguing Talmud, sometimes I think just arguing for the sake of arguing, often accompanied with the little remarks and jokes that young men often make in each other's company. I was, yet again, very intimidated. I did not want to be the target of that energy. I wanted to keep my head down, get my education, get ordained, and get out of there. So I really had to channel my dad's voice, telling me that I deserve space too, to speak my mind, to share my thoughts and interpretations, and to stir up a little good trouble. And I had to channel too my inner daughters of Tzlofchad, who teach us that just because things are being done one way, according to one norm, doesn't mean they always must be. And that even God thinks new voices must be added to the mix, even if it means sticking your neck out a little bit. I learned, in time, to add my thoughts to the classroom discussions, to disagree when it felt necessary, and that being funny was one thing, but to not stand for disrespect. So take this as your cue. As Jews, we are meant to take as an example the daughters of Tzlofchad, to be good troublemakers. So be a good troublemaker. Let your voice not be silenced just because you are few or are advocating something that is different than the usual fare. The Torah teaches us that it is those who dare to raise their heads high, daring to be different, daring to claim their space for their voice, those are the ones who change the world. So go out there, make some good trouble. Shabbat Shalom. Oh, thank you. We rise as the ark is open. We turn to page 56 for the Aleinu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגור עלינו ככל המורנם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומורדים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ועושה הארץ, ומושיב יקרא בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובה מרומים, ואלוהינו אין עוד אמת מלכינו אפס עולתו, כך כתוב בתורתו, ודעת היום והשבת אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד. דלקי נקווה לך. תורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם עבד, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
You may be seated. This week at Beth Yeshurun, we hold dear in our hearts those who have lost loved ones close to them in recent days, Jerome Robert Rose, Nave Nav, and of course the families of Rabbi Jack Siegel. If you are currently in mourning or if you are observing a yard site, I do invite you to turn to page 58 and to join me for the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yikadash shemei Rabbah, Bi'alma divrach yirotei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'vyomechon u'v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'imru, Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'alam al mei al maya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitale v'yitalal shmei d'kudashah b'richu le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata tush bechata v'nechemata da'amiram be'alma v'imru amen Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen Oseh shalom b'imrumav Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. You may be seated. May all of our loved ones' memories be for a blessing. We do have a few announcements. Even though it's summer, there's never a dull moment here at Beth Yeshurun. Registration for Religious School Sulam Kehillah High is still officially open, so I do urge you to go to the website if you have a kid pre-K through senior year. We've got you covered. All great programs, a great way to get a good Jewish education. If you were born in 1940, you should have received a call from us by now to invite you to participate in our very first ever Beth Yeshurun second B'nai Mitzvah ceremony. That'll be Saturday, July 22nd. We thought it'd be a lot of fun for if you're having your second B'nai Mitzvah. Maybe you didn't have a first one, that's cool too, but if you're 83, 'tis the season to have your second B'nai Mitzvah, and if you want to have your second B'nai Mitzvah officiated by our youngest clergy and para-clergy, it's going to be myself and cantorial student Neil Tybel officiating. We even have a nice fountain pen for a gift for you. So you, because today you're a fountain pen. You and your family are invited to come. You can have an honor, you can have an aliyah, you can read from Torah, you can open the ark, do what you'd like, and of course join for a nice Kiddush lunch after. You and your family are all invited. Anyone's invited. It should be a lot of fun. That's Saturday, July 22nd. On Tuesday, July 25th, 9:30 a.m., our Beth Yeshurun Sisterhood and JFS and Celebration Company are partnering for the 10th year. It's a nice anniversary, to assemble the honeyless honey cake, which I swear it tastes like honey. It's amazing. We'll be assembling 500 bags of cake mix, and we are counting on having 50 volunteers of all ages. Teens can get their community service hours. It's a great cause. You can register on our website for that. Oh, so if you want to do the second B'nai Mitzvah, you can reach out to me, Sarah Kaiser. Wave your hand, Sarah. Hi, Sarah. Or Neil Tybel, but, don't bother. Come to us. For our baby boomers and seniors, we have 2 upcoming events. At 1 p.m. on Tuesday, July 25th, we're meeting at the Holocaust Museum Houston for a guided tour of their summer exhibit, I'll Have What She's Having, the Jewish Deli. There's just a few spots left, so if you do want to be a part of that group, just go to the website calendar for the link. And on Tuesday, August 8th, we are partnering with HCRJ's Senior High Group in a joint trip to Lake Charles for the day, leaving from HCRJ. 2 buses will arrive mid-morning at the Golden Nugget. Everyone can enjoy some lunch and an afternoon of gambling. Returning by 8 p.m. that night. There's about half a bus left to fill, so if you are interested in spending, there's a lot of people interested, that's great. Go to the website and get your spot, because it's going to fill up for sure. And for the 3rd summer in a row, we are participating in Kids Meals Juice Box Challenge. We are collecting 100% juice boxes for kids' meals. Kids need food, even in the summer when they're not having school, so please help us help them and bring 100% juice boxes to the synagogue by the end of the month. And, of course, as a reminder, on Monday at 11 a.m. is the funeral for Rabbi Jack Siegel, the Rabbi Emeritus of many years here. He is a man, a rabbi, and a legend. His family have such deep roots here, and I know all of you have such personally unique stories. So if you'd like to pay your respects to him at his funeral, that'll be 11 a.m. in the Bark Sanctuary. Give yourself plenty of time to get here. We are expecting quite a bit of folks, and there'll be traffic, and there'll be folks directing traffic, but give yourself time so you're not in a big rush. And we will be having Shiva Minyanim here at Synagogue on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 6 p.m., followed by a reception afterwards. So that's 11 a.m. on Monday for the funeral, and Shiva at 7:30 Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. You are invited to one or all of those. It was 7:30. It's 6 o'clock, sorry. Last minute change. 6 p.m. for the Shiva, and there was a reception afterwards. You can also live stream the funeral on our YouTube channel, on our website as well. And I think with that, I want to do a quick thank you. Amazing job to Julie on piano for composing a beautiful Shalom Rav. And doing an amazing job at accompanying, as always. Wonderful job working with the cantor. I love working with you all the time. And thank you all for being here as well. So we're going to wrap up with blessing some children and Kiddush. So I know we have some under 18 feet. I see some folks under 18. And unless you are very young 21, 40. What do you moisturize with? Come on out. I mean, everybody's somebody's child, but like your actual children. Legally children. I mean, you're yeah. You're young ladies and also children. There we go. Well done, well done. So over all of our daughters, we'll take a moment and say a blessing over all of our daughters. We say, may God bless you and make you like Sarah, Becca, Rich, and Leal. Over all of our boys, our sons, we say, may God bless you and make you like Ephraim and Menashe. And over our whole family, so a big family group hug, everybody gets this blessings for everybody. May God give you the most special blessings, that of shalom, peace. And let us all say, Amen. Please rise for the Kiddush.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hadafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ava uvratzon inchilanu zikaron lemasei v'reishit ki hu yom techila mikrai kodesh zecher letziat Mitzrayim kirvanu v'chalta ve'otanu kidashta mikol yamim v'shabbat kodshecha be'achava u'vratzon hinchaltanu baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. L'chaim.
L'chaim.
Good Shabbos.
Shabbat shalom.